while it's happening. And I think you had written something into some of the things to think about. So if the flea market stayed and nothing else changed, we're where we're at right now, and all of these plans were happening, what are some of the impacts, and what is the, if just want to know, like, what would be the answer to that question that you would think?
I think that's the power of like the station advisory group. You know, I mean, because we're all, the city doesn't decide everything, BART partly, just, you know, this is a conversation that we're gonna have together with BART, with the community. Like, what are the options, depending on the time frame there is? You know, is an option, you know, if we have a time certain and we have things that are happening, maybe that's part of it. Maybe this stays the way it is. I can't say for certain, but I'm saying that
one of the things that might be happening too, that would be what would be some of the effects? Like you had said, Adeline might be blocked off.
Oh, I think I know what your question is. If the current space that's being used for the flea market was remaining while construction was happening, is that what you're asking? That would be very challenging to operate a market, in my opinion, if you're surrounded with construction debris, noise, fencing, blocked off access to the parking lot, and so, you know, I don't see that as being something that's very viable. But again, it's going to be, you know, a conversation is going to need to occur as to what's the best way to preserve the momentum of the flea market while construction occurs. What's the least disruptive approach so that you don't have to move a bunch of times, you don't have to move very far, or maybe you just move one side of the parking lot to the other while construction's happening. But that's something that really has to be thought about as to the impacts.
And then move right back.
Well, there wouldn't be a right back. You know, there's not, you know, that's the main location for a future proposed development. But as mentioned in the plan, incorporating some sort of public shared space, whether half of it's on the street and half of it's internal into where the development occurs, how that looks. That's why I was asking to start thinking about how much space is needed to think, you know, down the line, how that would work if there's some of the space is internal to a new development and some of it's on the street, and if maybe some of it's indoors, you know, like certain other places we've seen. Maybe it's all weather outdoor, we don't know. But those are the types of, you know, creative thinking we want to see, and that's why I'd like to see other examples from other places that people say, that's an awesome market, you know, whether it's the Farmers Grove down in LA, or whether it's Pike's Place, or whether it's some other, you know, market that's been occurring for as long as this market has. I think that's important.
And that's not something you need to figure out on your own.
Exactly.
That's what's really important, you know, in terms of, we want to make sure and figure out in this process. We don't know, we can't say exactly what's going to happen, but we know we need
technical help.
Yes.
You know, you guys are the experts in terms of that, in terms of saying, well, this is what I know I need as a vendor. I need a 10x10 space. I need a 10x20 space. I need this kind of access to my vehicle, or this kind of parking and loading. Like that's the kind of information that when we get down to it, you know, are the types of you know, critical information that you can provide.
Yep.
So in the idea with the way that it is now, so you're saying that the housing that they're trying to bring in is right in that parking lot.
We don't know the design yet, but I'm sure that that's a big portion of the space that would be utilized for development. And so it's fair to say that there will be some impacts and that there will be some development there, like all the other BART stations, you know.
Okay, but in terms of right now, it's just that Adeline corridor portion, or
No, all the both parking lots.
both parking lots?
Exactly.
Building.
Area. But there could be, like I said, a public sale. Like, for instance, if you've been to Richmond, you've seen the Richmond BART station, there's like a 50-foot wide public walkway that goes right down the middle in between two rows of housing that could be used for an activation space, farmers market, flea market, same with in Fruitvale. There's an even wider area that's been dedicated for public space and shared space. So like I said, look around and see those ideas. And
it's hard to talk about in words without having somebody show you the examples and how it actually physically fits.
Yep.
So that's a step that will come.
Yep.
So in the meantime, as we're talking about other BART station and how it's being used right now,